Have you ever wondered why we read books? Is it to become more knowledgeable, to be more successful, or simply to find a moment of peace and quiet within our souls? Welcome back to Simply Happy Now. Today we open the pages of history to explore the profound wisdom of Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon, a philosopher of the Renaissance, presented a pragmatic view on learning that remains incredibly relevant in our modern world. He believed that studies serve three primary purposes in our lives: for delight, for ornament, and for our ability to judge.
First, consider the purpose of delight. This is the joy found in privacy and retirement, away from the noise of society. When we are alone, studies provide a sanctuary for the mind, allowing us to recharge and find happiness within our thoughts. Secondly, studies serve for ornament. This manifests in our discourse, making our speech more polished, witty, and persuasive to others. Knowledge decorates our conversation, allowing us to connect with people and present our ideas with a distinct grace and sophistication. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, studies serve for ability. This is the power to judge rightly and manage affairs with competence. Expert men can execute, but learned men provide the best counsel, seeing the deeper patterns and organizing plans with wisdom. However, Bacon warns us of excess. To spend too much time in studies is sloth, a trap of endless preparation.
To use studies too much for ornament is affectation. It makes one appear arrogant and disconnected from the reality of conversation. To make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. Life requires flexibility, not just rigid academic theories. Studies perfect nature and are perfected by experience. Like plants, our natural abilities need pruning to reach their full potential. For natural abilities are like natural plants that need pruning by study. And studies themselves give forth directions too much at large. Unless they are bounded in by experience, knowledge remains abstract. We must apply what we learn to truly understand its value.
Bacon observed that crafty men contemn studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them to improve their daily lives. For studies do not teach their own use, but that is a wisdom without them, and above them, won by observation. Read not to contradict and confute. Do not use knowledge as a weapon to prove others wrong or to boost ego, nor to believe and take for granted. Blind acceptance is just as dangerous as constant contradiction in the pursuit of truth. Nor to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. True reading involves critical thinking and deep personal reflection.
Bacon famously classified books into three categories. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few chewed. That is, some books are to be read only in parts. We taste them to get the essence without deep commitment. Others to be read but not curiously. These we swallow, reading the whole content but without intense labor or deep study. And some few to be read wholly and with diligence and attention. These must be chewed and digested for true nourishment. Just as food nourishes the body, these important books nourish the mind, becoming a part of who we are forever. Some books also may be read by deputy, and extracts made of them by others, but only for less important matters. Else distilled books are, like common distilled waters, flashy things. They lack the original spirit and flavor of the author's voice.
Reading makes a full man. It fills the mind with information, history, and the vast experiences of those who came before. Conference makes a ready man. Discussion sharpens our wits, forcing us to access our knowledge quickly and apply it effectively. And writing makes an exact man. Putting thoughts onto paper forces us to clarify our thinking and structure our ideas perfectly. And therefore, if a man write little, he had need have a great memory to retain all that he encounters. If he confer little, he had need have a present wit to improvise and handle situations without the aid of discussion. And if he read little, he had need have much cunning, to seem to know that which he doth not know. Histories make men wise. By studying the past, we understand the patterns of human behavior and the rise and fall of nations. Poets make men witty. Through metaphors and rhythm, poetry teaches us to see connections and express emotions with creative precision. The mathematics make men subtle. It trains the mind to handle complex abstractions and follow long chains of logical reasoning. Natural philosophy makes men deep. Understanding the laws of the physical universe gives our minds a profound foundation of reality.
Moral grave. The study of ethics shapes our character, making us serious, responsible, and aware of the consequences of our actions. Logic and rhetoric able to contend. These subjects arm us with the tools to argue effectively, defend truth, and persuade others. Habeant studia in mores. Studies pass into the character. What we learn becomes woven into the very fabric of our personality. Nay, there is no stand or impediment in the wit, but may be wrought out by fit studies, like diseases of the body. Just as bowling is good for the stone and reins, and shooting for the lungs and breast, studies cure mental defects. If a man's wit be wandering, let him study the mathematics, for in demonstrations, if his wit be called away, he must begin again. If his wit be not apt to distinguish or find differences, let him study the schoolmen, for they are splitters of hairs. If he be not apt to beat over matters, and to call up one thing to prove another, let him study the lawyer's cases. So every defect of the mind may have a special receipt. There is a specific study to heal every weakness we possess.
Moral grave. The study of ethics shapes our character, making us serious, responsible, and aware of the consequences of our actions. Logic and rhetoric able to contend. These subjects arm us with the tools to argue effectively, defend truth, and persuade others. Habeant studia in mores. Studies pass into the character. What we learn becomes woven into the very fabric of our personality. Nay, there is no stand or impediment in the wit, but may be wrought out by fit studies, like diseases of the body. Just as bowling is good for the stone and reins, and shooting for the lungs and breast, studies cure mental defects. If a man's wit be wandering, let him study the mathematics, for in demonstrations, if his wit be called away, he must begin again. If his wit be not apt to distinguish or find differences, let him study the schoolmen, for they are splitters of hairs. If he be not apt to beat over matters, and to call up one thing to prove another, let him study the lawyer's cases. So every defect of the mind may have a special receipt. There is a specific study to heal every weakness we possess.
Bacon's wisdom reminds us that learning is not a chore or a race to the finish line. It is a form of self-care. It is a way to prune our natural abilities so they can bloom into a more resilient and happy version of ourselves. Personally, reading this essay changed how I look at my own bookshelf. I used to feel guilty for only finishing half a book, but Bacon taught me that sometimes tasting a part of a book is all that is required. If the part you read gave you the insight you needed, then your study has served its purpose. You don't need to finish every book to be a full man. You just need to digest the parts that nourish your soul. As you go about your week, I invite you to look at your own studies. Are you reading for delight, for ornament, or for ability? Are you weighing and considering, or just scrolling and consuming? Remember, habeant studia in mores. What you learn today becomes who you are tomorrow. Choose your receipts wisely, heal your mind, and find the joy in the process. Thank you for joining me today at Simply Happy Now. If this reflection brought a bit of peace to your day, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know, what is one book that you have truly chewed and digested?
Simply happy now. Simply here, simply now. No rush, no chase, no why, no how. Just breathe it in. Simply happy now. Happy now, happy now. happy now. Stay gentle, stay kind. This moment is enough. Simply happy.